Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place for you for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape, or form, or just want to give this channel some like up. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So it's the final day of APAM, Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month today. If you're in the UK, it's already ended because we're now into the 1st of August. If you're in the USA, in a lot of places, you'll find that it's still the 31st of August, 31st of July. It hasn't gone into August yet. So July is Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, and that's all about celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. And I founded that month when I published this printed version of this Asexual Perspectives book in 2017. And every year in July, I read some excerpts out from this book. So tonight's topic is all about, can an asexual person be in a relationship with a sexual person, and how would that even work? So this is what we're going to be discussing in tonight's live stream. So welcome if you've just joined me. This particular person's called Robin, and they're in the book. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it as we go along. So Robin is actually in a relationship with another asexual, and it's working out great. So that's what I first of all wanted to say. Congratulations to Robin. I absolutely love it when I hear of asexuals being in relationships with other asexuals. It's absolutely fabulous. But I did ask them all the same, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about it being fair or not? I think it really depends on the people involved, says Robin. I know a few sexual to asexual relationships in which the sexual person, out of respect for their asexual partner, does not ever have sex with their asexual partner. However, I don't think the majority of sexual people are like that. Even those who respect the asexual partner's wish to not have sex would still want to have sex, and so form a compromise with their asexual partner about it. For example, agreeing on the amount of sex to have within a certain time period, so the amount of sex does not overwhelm the asexual partner. In other words, an asexual who wishes to have a relationship with a sexual partner should expect to have sex in the majority of cases. As much as it depends on what the sexual partner wants, it also depends on what the asexual person is willing and able to tolerate in terms of sex. I also know that some asexual people do enjoy sex. So in that case, having sex with their sexual partner at their request may not be a problem at all. So yeah, there was someone who commented on one of my videos very recently, and they saw Asexual Guide to Sex video. I don't even know if they watched the video. And they just put WTH, which means what the fuck. And I'm guessing the reason they put that is because they hadn't watched the actual video and they didn't understand why I was writing a book about, you know, asexuals having sex. Because a lot of asexuals don't want sex, they don't like it, they don't need it, they're sex repulsed. And the whole point of asexuality is that you don't experience sexual attraction. So basically, you don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse. However, there are asexuals that are in relationships with sexuals and they are having sex. And those people cannot be overlooked or left out of the asexuality spectrum. Just because their behaviour is sexual, as in having sex, doesn't mean to say they're not asexual and they're not part of the community, you know? And there are asexuals that are contemplating having sex for the first time ever, and it's a very blooming scary thing to do. That's why I wrote the Asexual Guide to Sex book, because I had a friend, it's not finished yet, it's going to be finished in the next few months and published, but I had a friend who's aromantic asexual. They lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction, and one day they popped a message in my inbox which I wasn't expecting, and their question was basically, you know, if I wanted to have sex, Sandra, how would I go about it? And I had no idea that asexuals were even thinking that way because, you know, I genuinely generally don't think about such stuff, but I've had sex in the past, and I understand that it's going to cop into some asexuals' mind, especially as the majority of people out there in the world are not asexual. And if you want a relationship, a lot of the time you'll be pulled towards, being in a relationship with a sexual person, because you'll get kind of fed up with looking for years and years and years for the right asexual person. It doesn't mean to say you should give up looking for the right asexual person, or that you should actually be with a sexual person. I won't give up looking for an asexual person, because personally I don't think I could trust being with a sexual person long term. I don't think that many sexuals are very capable of having loving, healthy, happy, sex-free relationship when they really want sex and you don't, And so, I understand there's some sexuals who will go without sex, but if they're not happy, then, if I love the person, I want them to be happy, but I want me to be happy. So I don't think they should be with me, and I don't think I should be with them. I think we should be with ones of our own kind that we like being with, So even if it takes me another 10 years to find the right guy for me, then I will wait for him, because, that's what it takes sometimes. It takes a very long time to find the right person if you're asexual for you. Some people find them quickly, others don't. So, but I think, that asexuals shouldn't have to tolerate having sex if they don't want it. It's no good forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do, because it's not going to feel good for you. If you're an asexual that's sex positive, doesn't mind sex, and there are some of those, and that person's comment about what the fuck is, like they don't understand, or they obviously haven't come across or don't accept the fact that there's lots of asexuals out there that are having sex, or think about having sex, or want to partake in it for whatever reason. Just like there's a huge amount that don't, And with all due respect, I have respect for all different types of asexuals on the asexuality spectrum, regardless of whether they're having sex or they're not. Do you know what I mean? Asexuality is a sexual orientation that has lack of sexual attraction. It doesn't mean to say they can't have sex if they want to. Do you know what I mean? I personally just don't want to do it anymore. I really want to be with an asexual guy. I really want to be with an asexual guy. I'm done with being in relationships with sexuals. I don't mind going to a club and kissing sexual guys, but a long-term relationship is never going to work out, I don't think, with me and a sexual person, especially because I get the highly sexually attracted guys to me. I don't think they could live without sex long-term. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. I don't mind kissing some guys in clubs. That's about it, because I love kissing, and clearly it's not going to go anywhere because they all want sex. But as for a long-term relationship, I only want to get into a long-term relationship really with an asexual person, because who's very highly compatible with me. Doesn't have to be identical, the same as me, but they need to be highly compatible with me. And I like Indian guys the most. I'll do whatever it takes and wait till the right person comes along. And if they don't, I'll just be by myself. It's fine. But it's important to get the love of your life, who you adore, who you absolutely adore. I was actually late coming on the stream because I didn't eat food till gone midnight, because I've got to put the oven on after I've done some washing up. And I actually got a guy message me who's part Indian, who originally came from the UK. He's currently in the USA, but that was nice. 21, approached me and said he's looking for friendship, maybe more with me. So that's really nice. Very beautiful looking guy as well. Very beautiful. Very intelligent as well. Very intelligent. So I wanted to reply to him and chill out after eating my food, which was very late. So, C.A. Altman, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about it being fair or not? Certainly, of course, every relationship works differently, because all people involved in any given relationship are unique. Sometimes that might mean a polyamorous relationship where the asexual has their friends and the sexual has their friends and outside sexual partners. Or perhaps the asexual doesn't mind or even enjoys having sex. There are also asexuals who experience sexual attraction in special circumstances, which may mean that they're sexually attracted to and want to have sex with their romantic partner. There are so many ways that a sexual and asexual can work a relationship that I don't think fairness factors into it. All relationships are unique, since all parties involved in a relationship have unique desires and beliefs. There is always a way for things to work out if all parties involved are committed to their love and willing to communicate and compromise freely. And I do think that's important in any relationship, you know, that I do think it's a really good point that we are all unique and different with our own beliefs. You know, there might be a sexual person that just really into kissing so much that they need that more than the sex, and that kissing really is their thing, despite the fact they experience sexual attraction. That is possible, even though I've said I don't think I could be with a sexual person, you know, because we are all so unique and we are all so different. And, you know, that's why it's harder to find a relationship with another asexual as well, because we're all so different on the spectrum, and we're all different in what our likes, needs, wants, and dislikes are. Like, I have very niche needs, but it doesn't mean to say I can't get the person of my dreams if I believe I'm worth it, you know, and I believe that the guy will be really happy with me when he shows up, you know, and we're just gonna have the most loving, caring, committed relationship ever, and I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying my single life, you know, and I think that's the most amazing thing you can possibly do for yourself, is whatever happens in the future, if you're single right now, is that you do cherish your singledom, and you do work, grow, and develop yourself, you know, work on yourself, grow yourself, develop yourself. Because if that person's not coming to your life right now, it's not necessarily that they're not going to, it's just that it's not the right time. I have a lot of work still to do on myself, you know, and you know, a few years' time, I could be in a completely different place, you know, and all the better for it, you know. And so I'm looking forward to the future. I think my future in the next year is going to change dramatically, and I think it's going to be for the better. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I can't wait, you know. I think I'm going to be in a much more better position when my career and finances are fully sorted out. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to him coming into my life, you know. In order to like have a healthy, happy, loving relationship, you've got to be in a good place yourself. And if there's things you need to sort out still in your life, it isn't necessarily the right time for you to be in a relationship. And as much as you wish that person might turn up, it would be wrong for them to turn up right now, because you couldn't give them the full love, attention, time they need when you've got your own stuff to sort out. So I think it's really good if you enjoy spending time whilst you're single and you just love being in the moment with you, you know. And it's important to realize that you're worth it, whatever type of relationship you want, however crazy it may seem, that you believe that you're worth getting that relationship, because you're not going to get a relationship that you want unless you believe you're worthy of it, want it, and can have it. You know, that it's entirely possible. You know, there's going to be a guy who just loves me for my quirky personality. There's going to be a guy who really loves being with an older girl who is very intelligent, and who, you know, who doesn't probably, he's probably gonna like the cooking, he's probably gonna like some houseworky stuff, because I don't like that type of stuff. And you know, he's probably just gonna be so sweet and cute, and you know, and he's just gonna love my personality, because it's gonna be like, oh my god, you know, every day is different with Sandra, no 2 days are the same. It's all fun. It's like a beautiful roller coaster, not a roller coaster in a bad way, but a beautiful roller coaster of wonderful uniqueness, you know. And I think that's the thing to realize, is we're all unique and special, you know. I look forward to being with an unconventional guy, you know, someone who's different, someone who's beautiful, cute, stunning, got beautiful hair. Can't wait. I'm really excited for that time, really looking forward to it. I'll be ready when the time comes. I'll be ready. And so, you know, and I do agree there's always a way to work around things. Personally, I'm not polyamorous. I was going to say I'm poly-repulsed, but that's not, I'm not repulsed polyamorous for other people, but you know, I'm monogamous, and so I'm not poly at all. So yeah, I think if people want to be polyamorous, that's up to them. But personally, it's kind of like, I don't want that type of relationship, because I just want one person in my life in terms of relationship. I still want my best friends, you know. I wouldn't be without my best friends. They are amazing, they are incredible. I'm so glad I found out I was asexual, otherwise I'd never have met 2 of my best friends. And yeah, all relationships are valid, whether they're romantic or not. But I think it's very, very interesting to see what other asexuals have about advice for whether it can work with a sexual person or not. Let's have another story from Asexual Perspectives. Don't forget to grab a copy of the book if you haven't already. down below in the description. Right, let's crack on with the show. So, this is Hannah Leigh Steinhardt's story. Do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? It can absolutely work. It really depends on what one's views are on fidelity, how sex positive the asexual is, and how willing to compromise the allosexual person is. I would never ask a partner of mine to give up having sex, but I might suggest having occasional one-night stands, as I would be completely unable to fulfill his or her needs. It honestly would take discussion between the two people, the same way with any other relationship. Think about a transgender person in a relationship that has not had sex reassignment surgery. That would need to discuss how they and their partner would handle that. And this should be no different. It might not be fair per se, but if you love someone for everything about them, then there are ways to make it work. And not all of us are sex repulsed. So just because they are asexual does not mean that they will not have sex with you and enjoy it. And again, that's what I mean. It's important to note that there are people who do have sex that are asexual. Everyone in my Asexual Guide to Sex book has had sex before. Some are still having it. Some don't ever want it again. I'm not going to give the whole book away, but you know, it's good to have a variety of views and opinions from different asexuals as to, you know, whether it's possible for an asexual to have sex. I mean, I had sex in the past before I realised I was asexual. Now I just don't want that again. I want a very loving, beautiful, kissing, romantic, super romantic, beautifully romantic relationship without any sex ever. Just lots of kissing and cuddling and holding hands and talking to each other and having intelligent conversations. Just really loving being in the other person's company, you know, and really trusting each other. I'm really looking forward to those times. I think good times are ahead, and I think those times are coming. You know, I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to attracting my soulmate like a beacon of light. Right. Jamie James's story. Page 207 if you've got the book. If you haven't, go and grab yourself a copy. Link is below in the description. So, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? I'm guessing it could work, but it depends on the person. 9 out of 10 times, probably not. But on rare occasion, it could. I don't see a problem with it, and the fairness is on perception. As an outsider looking in, I could say fairness doesn't matter. But if you're in that relationship, although you believe in your beliefs, you wouldn't want to hurt your partner, so you'd always also want his beliefs met. So yeah, I mean, fairness is to do with perception, right? But I'm glad that most of the asexuals in this book, they come from a place of like, is it fair to the asexual to have sex or not? Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people in society talk about, oh, it's not fair for the sexual person to be in a relationship with an asexual, and it works like that with an asexual person. It's not fair for an asexual person to be with a sexual person and then basically deny themselves the pleasure of being with another asexual without sex for the rest of their life. You know, it works both ways. You know, because some asexuals could be a lot happier if they were with other asexuals and they just didn't have to worry about that sex element. You know, I don't want to have to worry about that. You know, I do talk to some asexuals that are on the more, you know, guys that are on the more grey end of the spectrum, but a lot of them want sexual stuff that I'm not even willing to do because I don't want to do stuff that I don't like, you know. I think it's really important not to do stuff that you don't like and don't enjoy and that you're just going to get bored with very quickly, you know. So I really prefer like a really romantic guy who's just into kissing so much because I love kissing a lot. And that's just giving me the pleasure. That's all the pleasure I need is the kissing. And obviously the guy. And holding hands and cuddling. Intelligent conversations. But, you know, in terms of physicality, kissing's kind of my limit, really. Right. Callie's story. Do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about it being fair or not? I do think it can work, but I also know it adds another layer of complications. I know people who make it work, and I think as long as both parties are open and upfront about what they need and what they will and will not do, then it is completely fair. Yeah, I have to say that if you are going to be in a relationship with a sexual person, it's very important that you get boundaries sorted out in the beginning, like what you are willing to do and not willing to do. Like maybe you do not mind doing some sexual acts, or maybe you don't mind having sex once a week, but not 3 times a week. Or maybe you like being touched all over your body but not actually having the intercourse. Whatever it is for you, it's very important that you discuss that with the sexual person up front. Tell them this is my limits, and don't forget some sexuals will push you because they don't believe you, unfortunately, or they want to get more out of you. Some asexuals will be very respectful and others won't. They'll just be pushing you the whole time, pushing your boundaries, touching you more in places you don't want to be touched. And you don't want to be with someone like that in a long-term relationship, because 9 times out of 10, they're just wanting you for your body. They're not actually wanting you for you. Because if they don't respect you enough to respect where you do and do not like to be touched, or they're not happy with that, they shouldn't be with you in the first place. You should find someone better for you, because you deserve better and the best. Never ever forget that. Right, so Andy P story. Do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual it can work, and what do you think about being fair or not? I definitely think it could work. Like with any other relationship, you just need to find someone compatible. I'm not saying it would be easy. It'd just involve finding someone that could accept your limits and be happy with that. A big part of that would be accepting that happiness and not handling everything fearfully. If you trust them to be with you, maybe trust them to tell you if it can work for them after all. Yeah, I mean, it's up to the sexual person. If you've been honest about your asexuality, you say you're not interested in partner sexual intercourse, you don't want sex in the relationship, for example, if the sexual accepts that, that's on them, that's on them. It's no good coming back too late saying, well, I thought you'd change your mind. If you've stated what you do and do not like and they don't accept it, or they do say they accept it and then don't, that's their problem, not yours. And you have to have the ability to walk away if that's the situation, if that's the case. And you have to understand that anyone has the right to change their mind. That's you as an asexual person can decide, this relationship's not working out. This sexual person's pressurizing me. I don't like it. I feel really uncomfortable. I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I might love them, but it's no good for me. It's toxic. So you need to get out of it. Equally, the sexual person might turn around months later and say, well, I want sex with you now. And it is heartbreaking as an asexual person if that happens. But everyone has the right to change their mind at the end of the day. It's the way life is, We can't dictate to someone what they can and can't do. We can only put in place boundaries of what we want for ourselves. And either they accept those boundaries or they don't. In which case, if they don't and they keep trying to override them, you have to let that person go because they're no good for you. It's not going to work out. This is why I want to make sure if I get into a long-term relationship next time that I've got a lot of all these type of things ironed out, like, life goals, ambitions and dreams. Do you want sex? Do you want marriage? Do you want kids? All the deal breakers. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is why it's so important to ask these type of questions. Like, what's your life goal? If you've got a person who in 5 years' time wants to move to a completely different country and you want to stay where you are, that's not going to work out. You need to be asking people or person you're interested in building a relationship with in the future or now, what are their life goals? What are their ambitions? What are their dreams? Where do they see themselves in 5 years? What do they want? Do they want marriage? Do they want kids? If they're asexual, do they want sex at all? If you're with another sexual person, how often do they want sex? How many times a day do they want it? How many times a week? Could they live without it? If they did live without it, how would they fulfill their own sexual needs? What would they do? Would they be able to be monogamous to you? Or would they not really? Some people will say they're monogamous and they can't. They just don't want to hurt your feelings. So you've got to be very, very careful of that. Not all guys are like that. I know a person who's married to an asexual person and they didn't realise they were asexual until they got married. And that person doesn't cheat. They specifically will never cheat on their partner, on their wife. Never. They're not that type of guy, but they do miss the physical stuff because they never realised. And had they known before they got married, they would have probably chosen someone else, to be honest with you. But they did say that person's still the best person they've ever had for them, so maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Right, Eddie, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual it can work, and what do you think about being fair or not? Eddie says, of course it could work. There would have to be a bit of give and take on both sides, but that's no different to any other relationship. Yeah, so any relationship involves like people discussing what they're comfortable with within the relationship, what they're not comfortable with, what they will and will not tolerate, what they like, what they dislike, what they want, what they don't want. And so it's all best to do that very, very early on in the relationship. The problem is people leave that part out, and then different people have different expectations, and the person just can't meet that other person's expectations. And that's why they fall apart. Usually, the reason why people split up the most is because they both got different expectations for the relationship. That's why relationships fail. You know, they fail because of different expectations, a lack of communication, and then, you know, money and sex. So, you know, sex is not the first thing usually. From the research I've done, it's usually different expectations in a relationship and lack of communication skills. They're usually the two top reasons why people split up. You know, so you've got to get them right from the beginning. You've got to be with someone as well who's completely in touch with their feelings and emotions and can open up to you. You do not want someone who won't tell you their deepest, darkest desires and wants, needs, likes, dislikes, and fears. You need someone who will tell you the good stuff and the bad stuff. Someone who will share their fears with you and their joys and their delights. Someone who will share their most intimate secrets with you and know that each other will keep your secrets safe and totally build that trust and them not throw it back in you face, you know? If you're in a relationship where someone's throwing the stuff you said to them, the very dearest, heartfelt things that you've had problems with in your life, and they throw that back in your face and they use it against you, that's a manipulative, toxic person. And you should eradicate that person from your life. You know, no one should have anyone come to them, confide in them, and then when the going gets tough or when something goes wrong, they just throw it all back in your face saying, oh, I remember you saying like that, it's all your fault type thing. That is very manipulative, very abusive, and very toxic. You know, if things go wrong and don't work out, you be there for the person. You say, I'm really sorry that's happened to you. I love you. You know, you don't pin the blame on them. You know, a relationship shouldn't be about blame in any way. It should be about freedom of expression, a right to air your feelings and emotion without being in fear. To be able to tell the person the good stuff and the bad stuff without the other person getting angry with you. You should be able to have conversations like, I feel this, I feel that, I would like this, I would like that, but without making it about the fact that they have to do that. You know what I mean? So this is what I want, this is what I need. And obviously if your needs aren't met and you've discussed it, then you need to have the ability to walk away. The problem is people stay in relationships because they don't respect themselves enough to walk away, whether that's a friendship or an actual romantic relationship. You have to have the ability to respect yourself enough to say, doesn't matter however many years I've known you, however many years I've been in a relationship with you, I have to walk and leave this relationship. And that is the hardest thing. It is one of the hardest things to do ever when you are meet someone you're totally in love with them, to leave them for good, you know, and cut all ties. But that's what you have to do sometimes. You just have to do it for your own good. So I do think, you know, in certain limited, rare and specific circumstances, that a sexual person could be with an asexual without having sex. But I think a lot of the time, the majority of sexuals do need sex. So if you're an asexual who's sex repulsed, doesn't want sex, wants monogamy, I'd highly recommend you look for another asexual person and be willing to move if you really need to. Ideally, if you can't move, you get someone to move to you. But if you end up being on your own, like single for 10 years, and you really want a relationship, right, then you have to be willing to move yourself, you know, unless the place where you live is much better than being in a relationship, in which case, stay put. You know, I'm a non-mover. I mean, I don't see myself moving from here for a long, long time because I love it so much. However, I rent, so it's not actually my own place, you know. But I adore it. I've got everything I want here, apart from I don't have my dream guy, you know, to be in a relationship with. But that's okay, you know. but I've lived here on my own for so long. I love it. I've picked a really good place to live. So relationships are not just about the person's sexuality, but they're also based on hobbies, interests, wants, needs, likes, dislikes, not just of the sexual nature and physical nature, but also of like your long-term goals towards each other. Like if someone's like just starting out in their career, for example, like I like younger guys, right? A lot of them are still studying at university, and a lot of them are just starting their careers, and they might decide that they want to take off and go to another country to do their career or study, and it's like, I don't want to be in a long distance relationship where someone's in another country half the way around the world. And some people I meet, a lot of asexuals, they love traveling. Some of them want to take a whole year out traveling. Traveling's not my thing. I love the UK. If I was traveling, I go traveling in the UK, not around the world. It's not my thing. I'm not into it. I've got everything I need here right in the UK. I don't need to go to another country to find what I need. I've got everything I need right here. There's a lot of beautiful places in the UK, And so, you've got to look at everything, I always, there was a guy who I told you messaged me tonight on asexuality. Well, he actually messaged me a couple of days ago. I only saw it tonight. And, he was saying that he's in America at the moment studying, and that he was saying what job he was doing before the lockdown. And, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't quite know where you're talking to me in the UK, but his parents live in the UK, so he might come back to the UK. But it seemed like he really liked his job over there. He really enjoyed studying over there. So I haven't yet found out why he's contacting me in the UK unless he's planning to come back here, I know he wants an asexual girlfriend, so, not a sexual one, because he's asexual. And he is the look I like, he's the age I like, and he's very intelligent. And I've only just come across him. So, he messaged me, which was lovely, and so, I've written back and asked him, like with the work he was talking about, I'm like, what do you love most about that? Like, what are you planning to do with that in the future? Because if he's planning to expand his career over there in the USA, there's absolutely no point even thinking about a relationship with this guy. I mean, his subject was really good. It was like friendship, maybe more, question mark. And so he's obviously thinking he wants me as a friend, maybe more than a friend. But obviously I can't do a long distance relationship. In the UK, I could, if it was feasible, a place I could get to, or they could get to me easily. But I don't want a long-term relationship with someone, a long-term and long-distance relationship with someone who's abroad, because I need kissing. I need kissing like I need to drink water. I really need kissing. Not quite as much as I need water. But because I can live without kissing, I can't live without water. But I do need kissing in a relationship, and I can't be with a guy who's like halfway around the world most of the time when I can't kiss him. I need my kissing needs met, that's something personal to me. And so, I don't know what he's thinking of, but I know some people that are abroad that are originally from the UK, they do actually come back to their original country because they prefer actually living in the original country, So I have to see what happens with that. What type of relationship they're looking for, because that's what I've been asking them, like what you plan to do, like how long you'll study for, how long have you got left, what are you studying, like the job you were doing, like what did you like about it the most, and what are you going to do with that, that job, what you plan to do in the future, how you basically what they're going to do with it. I need to know where they're going to expand on it, they're going to do more of it over there, where if they see their future, for example, because they're in the USA, in Hollywood, for example, because the thing they were talking about is to do with film production, theatre production, sorry, if they're looking at that, and they're already in America, they might want to go to Hollywood and do stuff like that, in which case there's no room for me in that life. Do you know what I'm saying? So before you get into any type of relationship, whether whoever that's with, whatever gender or sexual orientation, you need to find out what their life goals and plans are for the foreseeable future and for beyond that. You need to know, because there's no way that you want to be into a relationship with someone who you haven't discussed what their life plans are, and they're like, in 2 years' time, well, I'm off now. Oh yeah, I never intended to stay in this country. You coming with me? No, right, okay, well, I've got to go because it's part of my life purpose. Off I go. You don't want that, I do not want that. Of course, you can never guarantee anything from anyone. That's why it's important, in my opinion, to keep your own home. That's why I like living separately. Then if I get a guy who decides he wants to go traveling around the world, I haven't got to break up a home because of it. I would have a hard time breaking up from him. I haven't got to break up my home. I can stay where I am. I've got my stability. I've got my own income. I've got my own place. So that, if he wants to leave, that's up to him. I'll find someone else who'll stay on my own. Do you know what I'm saying? But, you want to give yourself the best possible chance of a relationship working out by finding out exactly what that person wants. All the deal breakers, the life goals, the ambitions, the dreams. Do they want to share activities with you? Thanks for the thumbs up. Do they want to share activities with you, or are they happy to do different activities to you? Do they want to bring you into their family in some way? Do they want you to move in with them, or do they want to move in with you? Do they want to live where you live, or do you want to live where they live? What is their career goals? Like in the future, I want to be, oh, Sam just arrived, greetings. Oh, lots of love to you. I like your picture. It's lots of love to you. I've read lays out as well. So I was talking about it's very important to not just to do with obviously the question is basically, do you think asexual could be with a sexual, would it be fair or not in a relationship? But I was also moved on, Sam, to talk about the fact that you need to make sure that you've got a lot of other things worked out, not just whether you're having sex or not, whether it's with an asexual or sexual person, such as life goals, ambitions and dreams. Because I've had a guy contact me on Asexuality, which was I was late on this stream because I was eating, but also because I had this message from a guy who's originally from the UK, part Indian, 21 years old and beautiful looking, and messaged me because with the subject line friendship maybe more. So I was very excited and happy about that. So I was messaging him back, but he's over in America and he's studying there currently, even though he originates from the UK, and he loved his job out there. And I was saying, people need to make sure that when they're thinking about getting into a relationship, that they've talked about with the other person about what their long-term goals, ambitions and dreams is, because it's no good, for example, if he, for example, wanted to go to Hollywood because he's into theatre production, right? And so if he's a theatre producer, he could do very well in America, so he might want to stay there. Do you know what I mean? There might be a lot more opportunity in America than there are in the UK. So it's important that when we're initially talking to a person and find out if that person's compatible or not, that we discuss what's in their profile and what their long-term goals, ambitions and dreams are. Because many people, they go around with blinkers on when they first see a person. They just see maybe the hobbies and interests, because this guy told me theatre, movies and a couple of other things, right? And he said what job he'd done. But if a person's going around with blinkers, they'd be just oh, movies. I'm into movies because the Sir was. I'm into theatre. And they wouldn't think about what else the person said. This person's studying. So I need to know how many years of study they've got left, what they're planning to do. Are they planning to do a postgraduate degree after that? Planning to do a doctorate? Or, what they're doing? Sam, yes, regardless of the orientation, you must make sure you have compatible life goals and other compatible things in life. Exactly. It's so important, and people forget this because they get starry-eyed. I mean, I was a bit starry-eyed when this guy contacted me because it's wow, this is great. And I had another guy friend request me who's in the UK, who's Asian as well. I'm like, ooh, my lucky day. But the other guy who's Asian didn't speak to me, didn't send me a message, just sent me a friend's request, and there's no picture of him, so that's always a bit dodgy. Doesn't even say he's asexual in his profile. So whereas the guy who's in America definitely 100% is asexual. So yeah, I'm, it'd be nice if he did come back to the UK and he really liked me and we got on well. But you know what I mean? There's no point in getting my hopes up too much. But it's nice to have a guy actually approach me for a change and say that, because I do a lot of approaching with guys usually. And I hadn't noticed this guy before. So yeah, it's very important that, if you're getting into a relationship with any person, whether that be another sexual person, that you don't just think about whether you're having sex or not. You think about all the other stuff. The life goals, the ambitions, the dreams, which location you're going to be in, whether you're going to be living with them living with you, how are you going to fit them into your life? If you've got a job, for example, that's 6 or 7 days a week, how are you going to make time for that person? Are you both working different shifts as well? Because there's some people, they work different shifts. And it's like, if you're always working the daytime, they're always working the nighttime. How is that even going to work? Like, I had someone interested in me years ago who had every weekend off. But I used to work every weekend. And they were like, well, I want someone I can see at weekends. And it's like, clearly I couldn't be in a relationship with them. You know, I could have seen them in the evening or weekends, but that wasn't good enough because they wanted to travel at the weekends, specifically in the daytime as well. And so that would have been no good, you know? So you've got to look at all these different aspects, not just whether you're sexually compatible or not, but whether you're compatible in these things, you know? Like, I've met two really nice guys in ASAP, but one wants to go traveling, you know? And therefore, and other things, it's very different. Their hobbies and interests are very different to mine in many respects. So we're not compatible for a relationship. They're a nice person. You know, they said, oh, I want someone to activities to do, and I want someone to kiss. But I think they thought I just want to kiss. But I'm like, I do want someone I can do activities with as well. But I want to go to theme parks, for example. There's not many people, I'm surprised, thanks for the thumbs up. There's not many people I find they're into theme parks that are asexual. Sam, there are a lot of things to consider when considering a relationship with a fellow human. Exactly, Sam. Exactly. And yeah, I'm shocked at how many asexuals do not like theme parks. I know you do, Sam, and I know Mordecai does as well, because we both went together, didn't we? All three of us. Sam's into guys. Mordecai's into older women that look really older. So that was interesting. But yeah, we all get on well and went to a theme park together. It was really good. So, you know, but I'm surprised when I'm talking in private message, they're like, oh, you're brave. I could never go on them. I'm scared of them. I'm fearful of them. I'm like, they're just a theme park. I can't actually necessarily go on all the rides, but I go on a lot of them. You know, like roller coasters. Mind you, this guy's just started speaking to me. He's into skydiving. So if he's into skydiving, maybe he likes theme parks, because I think theme park roller coasters were a lot less scary than skydiving. I've actually got another friend who's into skydiving in the UK. Maybe they could go out together. But I don't think he does skydiving anymore, my friend. So, yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of things to consider. And as we've said in this book earlier on, you know, it depends on the asexual person and the sexual person, whether the sexual person could be happy without sex, and whether the asexual could maybe compromise or have sex or want sex or be happy to have it. But there is no way that either party should compromise themselves so they're not comfortable, they're not happy, they're upset, they feel rejected, either one of them. You know, that is not a healthy relationship. It's not healthy for either a sexual or an asexual person to feel rejected. You know, the sexual feels rejected because the partner doesn't want sex with them, and they feel like, oh, if you don't have sex, you don't love me, because sexuals associate sex and love together. And then the asexual thinks, well, you don't love me because you can't be with me in a loving relationship without sex. That's not love. You see what I mean? So they both want to be loved, but they both have different love languages. A sexual person has love and sex going together. An asexual person has love and love going together without the sex. And so this is how they vary. This is why they talk differently. This is why it's like speaking different languages, you know, and unless you can decode those languages and come to a language that you both understand and happy with and really love, it's not going to work out. It's going to be like two aliens talking to each other, and they're on different planets and speaking a different language, you know? So it's very important that both parties are considered. I mean, let's face it, you know, it's got to be fair to asexuals and to sexuals, you know? The relationship has to be fair both ways, you know? I don't think it's fair for a sexual person to expect an asexual to have sex if they don't want to and think they'll change their mind. And equally, I don't think it's fair if an asexual person gets into a relationship with a sexual, not having told them they're asexual, knowing full well they are, for fear of them leaving them, because you should have been upfront about in the first place so that a sexual can make an informed choice and decision whether they want to be with you or not. So it works both ways. We have to have loving, healthy, happy relationships where we both upfront and honest. Where it's difficult is if an asexual person is already in a relationship with a sexual person and finds out they're asexual later on. That's a very, very minefield to navigate for both people. Sam, yeah, a lot of people think it's the ace who should always compromise and have sex. Neither should be forced to compromise if they feel uncomfortable in doing so. Yeah, I definitely don't think the asexual should compromise, you know? If they don't want sex, I don't think they should have it, because when you compromise yourself like that, it's very destructive over the long term. Like, I've got 2 premieres premiering on this channel this weekend. Tonight at 9:30 GMT +1 is premiering a documentary I've done, which isn't completely processed yet. I got to process it tonight, so keep my fingers and legs crossed for that one. And then tomorrow, on Sunday, the 2nd of August 2020, is going to be another premiere where I am being interviewed by a sex coach about asexuality. So that's going to be on Sunday at 9 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. GMT +1 it is, because the UK is +1 at the moment. So 9 p.m. on Sunday. So instead of the usual chat show, I'll be premiering them and I should be in chat with you. So we watch it together. A bit like a watch party on Facebook, but it's on YouTube. So don't miss those. Don't miss those. They're going to be amazing. But what I was talking about is there's someone in this Asexual Perspectives book called Marnie. And I was actually, the woman's a sex therapist and coach. So anyway, I was talking to the person who was interviewing me, and I was explaining that Marnie in my book is with a sexual person. She's been married to him for years, and she has sex once a week just to keep him happy. She's watching the clock doing it to get it over with. And I was saying, you know, something like that to me personally is not a healthy relationship. To be forcing yourself to do something where you're watching the clock and you're not interested, you're just doing it for the sake of the other person. To me, it's not good. And as a therapist, trained therapist, she was saying it's not good to override yourself like that. Excuse me, to override who you are and what you want, because it can become very destructive to the person who is doing, you know, who is being overridden. Overriding your own feelings for the sake of someone else's like that, she said, it's very destructive over a long period of time. And I have to agree with her. You know, I'm not a therapist. I do coaching on this channel, as you know, dating a relationship, but I'm not a therapist, and she's a trained therapist. And so, you know, it was a very interesting conversation, you know, and because she was asking me, you know, like, can asexuals be in relationships with sexuals and enjoy it, basically, and enjoy having sex, you know? And I was explaining that, you know, there's some asexuals that can do that, and other asexuals that it's not, they don't want sex at all. It's not good, you know, they don't want that at all in the relationship. And there's other people who are asexual that do compromise, you know. And, you know, I think it's very sad that Marnie is doing that. I mean, she does love her husband. If you read the story in the Asexual Perspectives book, you'll see it's a very loving relationship overall. But that specific thing, you know, really struck me and stood out for me, because no person should be, in my opinion, trying to do something just to please their partner without any pleasure for themselves. If they're not having pleasure from sex, if the asexual doesn't experience any pleasure through sex, they shouldn't do it. What is the point in doing something in life, forcing yourself to do something when it's not giving you any pleasure, satisfaction, or happiness? Just for the pure, simple fact of pleasing someone else, that ends up being very resentful. And your body will end up with a lot of intenseness and stuff. You know, if it's not pleasurable for you, why do it? It's not good for your health, you know? And that's what I was explaining recently in the entrepreneur dating group I'm in. That this woman was going, oh, I love sex, it's very healthy. I'm like, it's only healthy if you enjoy sex. It's not healthy if you don't. If you don't want sex, you don't enjoy it, you don't like it, you're with someone who's pressurizing to do it, you know, that's basically abuse. Can lead to rape, you know. You know, having sex against your will is rape, basically. So you have to understand this. Everything has to be consensual. Consent is so important for both parties, the asexual and sexual person. You both have to have consent. Obviously, if a sexual wants an asexual to have sex, it has to be consensual. But there are some people, sadly, who are sexual, who will get consent from the asexual, but the asexual is under a lot of pressure to please that partner sexually. You know, because the partner's putting pressure on them by words that they're using, by their mannerisms, like, oh, kind of like, well, if you love me, surely you'd have sex with me. That type of pressure. That's bullshit. You know, you can love someone without having sex. And if you love yourself, you have to love yourself enough to walk away from someone who's trying to manipulate you like that. It's very hard. I've been in relationships where, you know, like, sexuals automatically think if you don't have sex with them, you don't love them. And they feel rejected. And I know that is a real thing that sexuals do feel, but there's a point where it becomes manipulative. You know, and they make the asexual person feel so guilty that the relationship is falling apart because they can't have sex and it's all their fault, you know, and it's disgusting. an asexual person doesn't experience sexual attraction. By and large, a lot of the asexuals do not want or like or need sex. And for the sexual person to expect it of them when it's not natural to them, it's not a good thing. It's not natural for us to have sex, want sex, need sex. It's not something that's built into us, that's wired into us. It's not something that we naturally get an urge or need or want for. It's not something we think about a lot of the time. If someone tries to instigate with us, that'll probably be the first time we thought about it in ages, because they're trying to do it with us. And we're like, oh, I've got to think about it now because it's cropped up. Not because I want it or was thinking about it, but because it happens to be there in front of me and they're asking me if I want to do it or not. I have to make a decision. Do you know what I'm saying? So you've got to understand that, you know, a lot of asexuals, they just don't want it in the first place. And they don't associate sex with love. It doesn't enter their head. They don't even think about having sex, the majority of them. You know, it's like, I'd rather watch TV or watch a movie or go out for a walk or read a book or do anything but have sex, because sex is not pleasurable to a lot of asexuals because we're not bothered about it. We don't want it. We don't need it. However, you know, you can have pleasure from sex as an asexual if you don't mind the sensations. If it gives you physical sensations that your body likes and that you like in your mind. Some asexuals do get some pleasure out of it. You know, but that's down to the individual. Like we've talked in this book before tonight's episode, that it's very down to individual taste and preferences, just like it is with hobbies, interests, and making a relationship work. You know, you've got to both like talk and discuss and communicate. You've really, especially if you're two different sexual orientations, you've really got to communicate a heck of a lot even more to make sure things are not misunderstood, misinterpreted, you know. So for example, if I sit on a guy's lap, a sexual guy's lap, who's my boyfriend, and I'm sitting between his legs and I'm enjoying myself, I don't mind that bit of sexual contact, if you like, with his clothes on. But unless I make it perfectly clear that I don't want sex, that to a lot of sexuals could be like a come on, like, oh, you're sitting between my legs, you're pressed on my penis, basically. You must want sex. It's like, no, I don't. I'm just comfortable sat here, snug as a bug in a rug. I don't actually want to actually put that anywhere near my insides. Thank you very much. You know, I'm just content to sit there without you doing anything to me more than kissing. That's it, you know? So you got to be very, very upfront, very honest, very clear, very like boundary driven. You know, in a lot of ways, I do think it's easier for an asexual person to be with another asexual. But again, you know, our likes, wants, needs, and dislikes are all very different. I've come across asexuals that literally want to be completely naked. And in the situations that they're presenting and talking about, it would be very difficult for me not to even get pregnant when they're not actually fully going inside me, because it's kind of like they want to do all this other sexual stuff. Right, and you don't have to have complete intercourse to get pregnant. Do you know what I'm saying? All you need is some spermies to go down there and you've had it, you know? I'm being very blunt because you need to know that some asexuals have got such a lack of knowledge of sex that some women don't even realise they can get pregnant in other ways. You know, all it needs is the hands with sperm on it to put in the woman. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very careful. Pre-ejaculation, all this type of stuff. You know, I'm being very blunt here because I want to help you. I know some asexuals, you know, they have a clue what they're doing, which is why I've written my Asexual Guide to Sex book, which I'll be finishing, you know, and publishing in the next few months. And I can't wait to get that out to the people that really need it, because they need a lot of sex education they've never got. I mean, asexuals don't think about sex, but when it's presented to them like, oh, this sexual person wants a relationship with you now and they're interested in sex with you, it's like, oh, bloody hell, excuse my language, what do I do now? Like, what does that entail? Like, they might be intrigued to know more if they've never even thought about it. You know, if you're an asexual who's never thought about it growing up, and then all of a sudden you've got this sexual person interested in relationship with you, and they're like, so like, what about having sex? And you're like, well, I haven't really looked anything up to do with sex because I've never really thought about it, and I haven't been looking at any magazines or TV programs, and I haven't been watching anything, and I don't really know what I'm doing, and I pretty much know that a man and woman like go into each other, and that's pretty much the extent of my sexual knowledge. And even then, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So do you know what I mean? That type of thing, and that can be quite common with asexuals. And you know, all of a sudden you're dumped with this like dive bomb of like, oh, you know, shall we have sex now? Or do you want sex? Or would you like it in the future? And you're like, I haven't really been thinking about that my whole life. Now someone's proposed it to me. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. You know what I mean? So there's all this kind of like stuff when you're asexual. Like, I never thought about sex as a kid. Never entered my head as a teenager. All I wanted is holding someone's hand and kissing them. That's all I used to think about if I fancied a guy. You know, like walking with him, hand in hand and kissing him. That was it. And romance like that, that's all I thought about. And being with him like that. No sex at all. Nothing. Diddly squat. Never entered my head. Never entered my head. You know? I wasn't interested in that. I never thought about stuff like that. It was like a foreign thing to me. It's like other people did that. It's not something I wanted to do. You know? So you've really, really got to think carefully before you get into a relationship with anyone about sexual compatibility, but about a whole host of other things, you know? I mean, it's not fair, for example, if you're in a relationship and you want a person who will spend a lot of time with you every night of the week, for example, several nights a week, or you want to live with a person, and then the other person goes away, for example, works in the army, and they're away for like 3-6 months at a time. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to get your needs met in the relationship, even though it's not to do with sexual needs. It's going to be to do with like physical distance to you needs, like you want someone there with you in person, you know, a lot of the time. So you've got all these factors to take into consideration to see if the relationship's going to be fair for both people in multiple ways, not just in the sexual way, you know, not just in the sexual way. Let's see if there's another person we can read their opinion in here before I pop off. Right, Darcy's story, which is page 438 of Asexual Perspectives. Don't forget, grab a copy of this in the link in the description below. Right, Darcy, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? So Darcy says, I do. As long as both or all parties are considerate and accepting. Any pressure to conform to another's standards is not a way for it to work. I feel like honest communication is vital. I feel like it can be fair as long as no one feels that they are missing something and no one feels like they are being expected to do more than they want. So that is very good kind of summary of what I was saying, you know, for an asexual and sexual relationship to work, you've both got to think it's fair. You've both got to be happy with it. You've both got to not feel rejected, you know? Because the danger is if one person wants sex, the other one definitely doesn't. You both end up feeling rejected because you both want to be loved, but you experience love in two completely separate ways. And how you think love is two completely different things. The sexual's thinking, I need sex in order to be loved because I associate sex and love together. The asexual's thinking, I just want to be loved without sex. Sex is just sex. It's not love. Do you see what I mean? So you got to be very careful to, like this person says here, Darcy, have extreme communication. It is absolutely vital. And it's absolutely vital if you do get into a relationship with a sexual that you basically make it clear and spell out exactly what you mean. Like, so say for an example, you're an asexual who likes to go in the shower and come out the shower naked, just sit there. I mean, I come out the shower naked. I got a mirror straight in front of the shower room. And I usually come out naked and I'm drying my hair and brushing it. Sometimes I have a towel around me. Sometimes I just stood in the nod. And, you know, and obviously I'm new to repulse. I don't really want a guy looking at me naked. But say I did. Just imagine, for example, I was with a sexual person and I didn't want sex. And the sexual person like, I'm happy to not have sex with you. And they meant it, which is probably going to be very rare if it ever happened. But just say that. But just say I was okay with him looking at my naked body, right? And I just had the door wide open doing that, right? Now, for a sexual person, they would ultimately see that and think, God, I want sex, you know, because it would be their natural instinct usually. And they would probably think about coming up behind me, putting their arms over my neck, maybe start stroking my breasts and doing whatever else, right? Because that's how a sexual person usually thinks. But you have to have utmost communication and honesty by saying what you do not want. So if you don't like that, you would say, honey, I know you appreciate my body. If you want to look at it from afar, if you're comfortable with that, then, you know, you can look at it from afar. But I don't want you coming over when I'm brushing my hair and you know, drying my hair, touching me, because it doesn't make me feel comfortable. You know, I'm not comfortable with that, you know. So these type of conversations need to go on. Like if it's with a sexual and asexual, you've got to kind of like go through multiple scenarios. If you're an asexual that doesn't like to be touched in certain places, doesn't want the person looking at them, doesn't want them to come up and start trying to instigate sex with you in certain situations, you've got to be full on like explaining all this to them, right? So it does take work. I think like any relationship takes work, but I think when you're two different sexual orientations, especially asexual and heterosexual, for example, it can like be a lot more complicated and difficult, because you've got that extra, like someone said in this book, you've got that extra layer of things that you have to take into account that you wouldn't have to worry about. Like I wouldn't have to worry about with another asexual having sex, as long as I got an asexual that definitely didn't want sex. There's some on the more sexual end of the spectrum where they might want sex. I mean, I even got a guy on ASAP who seemed a really nice guy saying, oh, I might like to try sex again. Didn't work out for me before, but I'm not really bothered about it, but I might like trying it again. It's like, okay, well, really, you're not going to be the guy for me, because I'm not bothered about trying it again. Like, as in, I don't want to try it again, you know? So, you know, that kind of like, I mean, like I said, every asexual is different. You know, some don't mind giving it a go, some don't mind trying it. They're sex positive. This person, to be fair to them, did say they're not quite sure where they fit on the asexual spectrum. So they might be the more great end, you know? So they were upfront about that, which I did appreciate. So let's see if there's anyone else I can speak about in here. I think I've done quite a few this time. Let's see. Right. This is going to be great. Okay, water at the ready. Cassidy's story. Do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? I'm in one and it's working. As far as fair goes, life isn't fair. This is what I mean when I said sex is put up on this pedestal. Okay, so there's one thing that we don't both like. Big deal. He doesn't like drawing. I don't like Magic the Gathering, a trading card game. He doesn't like musicals. I don't like first-person shooters. Big deal. There are 1,000,001 things that we both do like, and we love each other, and we have an amazing life with great friends, a beautiful daughter, dogs, and more love than we know what to do with. So I don't want sex. Big deal. So yeah, so with Cassidy, it's working out really, really well with their person. They identify it as great ace. And to me, that means I'm never going to look at a person and think, man, I would love to have sex with that person. Although through the right combination of music and touching, I can become physically aroused and orgasm. But it's so tedious, and I can think of, and sometimes do think of, a dozen other things I could be doing. So, yeah, so it's, see what I mean? So, you know, some asexuals that don't mind having sex or doing some sexual stuff, you know, they're really still not into the whole thing like a sexual person would be. So, but, you know, it just goes to show you that some relationships between sexuals and asexuals can work out. You know, it's not completely impossible. I personally, especially because I have high arousal levels and I love kissing so much, would prefer to be in a relationship ideally with an asexual guy who was like me in that way, because I just think a sexual person is just going to be really wanting sex with me all the time, especially with the way I like to kiss. It's going to be very difficult for them not to want sex with me. Which I do get, you know, and I get guys, you know, the last time I went clubbing before lockdown, this guy has only been dancing with me 5 minutes and wanted sex. You know, there was another guy, a British guy actually, that I did let kiss me, and one time, not the last time, the time before I think it was, and yeah, and he like, do you want to come back to my place? I don't usually kiss British guys, as you know, but he was quite cute and he was really young, like 20, probably 20, 21 something, you know, and he just decided to kiss me, so I'm like, okay, I'll have a go. And he was quite cute kissing, actually. And yeah, he was like, oh, do you want to come back to my place? And I was like, no, I'm not that type of girl, you know? I don't know how old he was. He could have been older than that. Who knows? But, you know, it's just like, I'm not interested in that, you know? Makes me laugh so much because I'm like, how could you possibly, because this is an asexual perspective, my asexual perspective, how could you possibly want sex with someone you don't even know them? And I know loads of people have it, but I'm like, seriously? I have to laugh. It's that stupid, it sounds to me. It's not stupid because it's very serious at the time. They really mean it. And it's like, oh my God, no. But when you look at it and think about it in a humorous way, you're like, how can you possibly just show your naked body to someone who you don't even know? It's just like, okay, and here's my body. Like, yeah, it kind of like, it's a bit like a painting where you see someone, a painting, and someone's hidden something in the painting and they've just put something obscure in the painting, like something that doesn't belong there. And it's like, find the missing thing. And like when someone says about having, going back to their place or coming to my place and having sex and they don't know me, it's like they've put some obscure thing in a painting. Because it's like, it's like, oh, here's my, naked body. Within 5 minutes flat, you can have it. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like they've stuck something there that doesn't belong. It's very weird. I don't know if I'm expressing it right, but that's how it seems to me. It's such a bit, when I think about it in a humorous way, like when I'm not actually there in the moment thinking, God, is this really happening? Yes, it is again. It just seems so obscure. It's like, why would anyone want to be like, yeah, let's strip off and show our blobby bodies to each other? And yeah, it's just like really weird. I find it amusing when I'm thinking about it now. It's not amusing at the time, but it just seems so obscure is the word, it's just bizarre. I can't fathom why people like to do that, really, to a complete stranger. But then I can kiss strangers, so I guess, I can do certain things with strangers, people I don't know, But they're only stranger, they're not really a stranger after a few seconds. But they are a stranger because I don't know them. So I guess I can kiss strangers. So I guess maybe it's just like that, but in a much more sexually revealing, close off type of body contact way. Do you know what I mean? Which a lot of people can't kiss strangers, I guess, like someone you just met. But I can. The right guy that I'm really highly aesthetically attracted to and would like to snog. Because I just look at some foreign guys and I'm just like, I really want to snog you. I could just walk up to you and snog you. Obviously, I can't because I can't just do that. It's not etiquette. But in a club, it's different. They can just come up and kiss me, and as long as I'm aesthetically attracted to them, then that's fine. If I'm not aesthetically attracted, like, keep away from me. I'm not interested in you. Make me feel sick. You know what I mean? So it's like a cream cake. You don't want to eat cream cake unless it looks appealing. If it's got some kind of like sauce that you don't like on there, like it's a cream cake with hot chili sauce that doesn't go together, you just don't want it. Do you know what I mean? Some people might want that. So yeah, I just find it obscure. I find it very, very weird. People that want sex so quickly. I find the whole thing bizarre. I just do. I'm like, why would you just strip and do that with someone you don't know? Seems so funny. It's not funny at the time. It's very serious and it's horrible. But when you look at it like now, in the fact I can't even go to a club at the moment, it just seems very bizarre. Very bizarre. But it does happen. Some people do actually really enjoy just having sex with random strangers. Quite a few people, and I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. You'd have to go into their house. You don't know what their house looks like. You don't know who's going to be there. Obviously, it's not a safe environment if you don't know them and you're giving your body to them. And it's like, crikey. And it's like, then you don't know where they've been, how many people they've been with, and you don't know what to expect, like, what's their house going to be like, or their flat, or their dodgy bedsit or something. I've lived in bedsits, they're not all dodgy, but some of them are. And, it's like, I don't know, I just find it bizarre. I find it absolutely bizarre. Think about that next time you look at a painting and the one obscure thing in it. That's what it reminds me of when people like just want to go home to someone's house for sex. I have in the past. I'll be honest, I've had in the past. How many times? Twice I've had two guys coming back to my place. I think it's twice that I only met. One, I didn't know him that well, but I had seen him a few times and went on a date with him. So it wasn't the first time I met him. And the other guy I actually knew a bit as well. I'd met him before. So they weren't complete strangers that came back to mine, actually. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had someone that I've just met on the night that come back to my place ever. I don't think it's ever happened that I can ever remember of. So yeah, it's, I wouldn't recommend it for safety reasons, obviously. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what the person's going to be like, whether they're going to like rough sex or whatever. It's horrible. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't recommend it, really. But, each person to their own, isn't it? Some people don't mind doing that. So, yeah. But if it's a relationship, I say make sure that you really trust the person before you give your body to them. Right. Okay, I think I've read most of these out that I need to read now. Let's see if there's anyone else's. But, you've always got to make sure that things are consensual. Whatever you do not have sex unless it's consensual, right? Because it's not good. And it should always, always be consensual. And I don't understand why people want sex with other people who don't want sex. It just is stupid. There's thousands of people who do enjoy sex out there. So if you're a sexual person, you don't need to be with an asexual person. If you really need sex, there's tons of places you can get it. Right. I'll talk about Waywalker's story now while I'm here. Right, Waywalkers. Do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual, it can work? And what do you think about being fair or not? Waywalkers, personal perspective and story. There are folks who believe this because obviously we just know that Cassie, wasn't it? They're in a relationship with, was it Cassie? I think it was. They're in a relationship with a sexual person. It's working out. So anyway, this is Waywalker. So there are folks who believe this. Having been married 3 times and in a long-term dating relationship after those, I laugh at the starry-eyed naivety. They may well be that magical person who has sexual desire and loves you enough not to have sex. I hope you find them. Lord knows I surely never have. I've heard of mixed couples who work out. Mostly what I hear is that the ace is a polyamorous, the description given by the people I knew who were involved, relationship. And their primary relationship is platonic with one person, but the other person has sex with other people. That is a valid situation. I cannot do that. I'm fiercely monogamous. So anybody with me needs to not ever need sex and be there for the long haul. Anything less will destroy us both. Mixed relationships, inherent fairness or unfairness is irrelevant on the larger scale. The assumptions implied by the question of whether being ace in a sexual partnership or sexual in an ace partnership are rooted, to my mind, in sexual normative assumptions. The only people who can legitimately answer are the people in the mixed sexual/asexual relationship, and each one of those answers would be different because each relationship is unique. For me, behaving in a sexual manner was so unfair to me that it damaged me. I allowed myself to behave sexually when doing so destroyed my heart and soul, and eventually even my sanity to a degree. For someone else, it might be a delightful, self-giving opportunity. Everyone is different. So I think it's very important, to know that there are people out there like me, for example, and Waywalker, who are fiercely monogamous. We can't have a polyamorous relationship. So, it's very, very important that if you're with a sexual, they know that if you're monogamous, you're not having, sex outside the relationship. And Sam's monogamous as well. I couldn't be with someone who's having a polyamorous relationship with me. It's totally out the question. I believe I deserve just as much love and monogamy as a sexual person does. With a sexual person not have sex if they want to be with me. Yeah, Sam's fiercely monogamous like I am. I'm fiercely monogamous. I don't believe in two-timing. I don't believe in... I know polyamorous is not supposed to be two-timing. So I've said something that'll probably really, really insult polyamorous people. But, because I'm fiercely monogamous, and if you are in a relationship with someone and you're actually having another relationship with someone else, that would be two-timing. Because I'm monogamous, I'm not polyamorous. So that's the way I see it, Eddie. Oh yeah, another topic I can enjoy. Oh, that's great. Oh, I've nearly finished now, Eddie. But yeah, so you know, me and Sam are both fiercely monogamous, you know, and if you're fiercely monogamous, you are what you are, you know. And if a sexual person's going to be in a relationship with an asexual who is monogamous, they have to understand that they're gonna expect monogamy. You know, if a sexual person was in a relationship with me, then I would expect monogamy 100%. You know, because they knew that before they got into a relationship with me, and they can't do that, then don't be with me. Go and be with the thousands of people that want sex out there. That's why I don't understand. It's like, if you want sex that badly, it's not difficult to get it. You can get it at a nightclub quite easily, very easily. I can get it just like that, obviously within 5 minutes if I wanted, but I don't. It's so easy. I mean, I see so many people online going, oh, you know, I can't find anyone to have sex with. It's like, take your pick of mine, please. There you go, have them all. You know, I'm not interested. It's so difficult, they think. It's like easy to get sex. It's very hard to get a relationship without it. You know? I would much rather look for that rare and precious gem that doesn't actually want or need or like sex in a relationship than have thousands of options of people who do. You know, what's special about that relationship? Nothing. To my mind, it's because everyone's the same, like a robot. It's like, no, I want someone who's different. Thanks very much. You know, I've always liked guys who were different anyway. But usually the guys who are different want lots of sex, unfortunately. So it's very, very important that you know, like Eddie said they can enjoy this topic because Eddie actually is a sexual person, a heterosexual person who is in a relationship with an asexual person. And it is working out. They're one of the very, 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 very rare people who can be with an asexual without sex. Very rare. So Eddie's been with their girl 2 years now. Long distance relationship, no sex. And Eddie's very heterosexual. So that is very interesting. And they're aromantic asexual. Eddie, I'm amazing. Yes, I know. Yeah, it's very, I mean, it must be difficult for you as well, because obviously you're having to like hold the urges, I would have thought. But I know that the relationship, it gives you such more satisfaction than the urges and acting on those would. So I know that relationship makes you happier. And I think that's what if you're a sexual person who is with an asexual without sex, I think that's what you've got to have in your mind at all times, that oh, Eddie, they're getting into control with sexual urges. Yeah. I mean, obviously, because I know you're highly heterosexual, you know, like you were very sexual in your past. So I know it must be difficult for you because obviously, you know, like people don't understand. They sometimes think that asexuals and asexuality, that you don't see that with her. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you don't see that it's difficult. I'm glad you see it's really easy. I'm really glad, because that is amazing, because that's what you need, don't you, in a relationship for it to be successful. Because if a sexual person was always saying it's hard to do that, they would probably end up resenting the asexual. But if you don't see that with her, it's good. We talk a lot and share all the things we both enjoy. That's good. That's really good. Really good. Really good. But a lot of the time people think that asexuals are holding themselves back from having sex. They think that's what all asexuals do, and it's simply not true. Like, we don't have the need, urge, and want for it in the first place. Whereas if a sexual person decides to abstain, they've got to obviously, like Eddie says, get their sexual urges under control. Eddie says it's the best relationship they've ever had. So Eddie is a heterosexual in relationship with an aromantic asexual, best relationship I ever had. And I do know Eddie's telling the truth, because Eddie's been with his girl a long time and he's very dedicated to her. And I know you enjoy online gaming together, is one of the things you really enjoy, don't you? Amongst a lot of other things, gifts you give each other you enjoy as well. I know that. And I know you think the world of her. So it's really good. So there are exceptions to the rule, people. Like Eddie is in chat, live chat now, showing that a sexual person can be in a loving, happy, healthy relationship forever. Should be forever, hopefully, and make it work, because the sexual person doesn't mind not having sex because they think the asexual person's worth it. And that's what you have to do. If you're going to be in a relationship with an asexual and not have sex, you have to really want that relationship and think it's much better for you than any other relationship, because Eddie's got that. Eddie doesn't feel he's missing out because he isn't, because he's got everything he wants in the relationship, and sex, not having that, it's just something he's got to deal with. But it's worth it because the person he's with, he doesn't feel is stopping him from having sex, just that he doesn't want that because he knows that she doesn't like that. And so that's fine. He'd rather go without that and be with her because the relationship is much better. And he understands as well the beauty of being with an asexual person, of pure love without sex. And I think if you're a sexual person, you've really got to understand the beauty of asexual love. To purely love someone without sex is the most incredible type of love you can get. I mean, there's people who are not asexual that can't have sex for whatever reason. They've got a disability, for example, they're impotent, or they are choosing to abstain for whatever reason on purpose, and those people deserve a loving, happy, healthy relationship without sex just as much as someone does when they're having one with sex. And there's like, just think of all the people that are impotent, that struggle with having sex, that get rejected and they get pushed aside because their partner wants sex with them, and if they can't have sex, then they're not going to be with them. Just think of all those people that need love. Asexuals can give love to those type of people because we don't need sex in the first place. And so there's a great opportunity for more people to feel loved that would otherwise have feel lonely, left out, and broken in some way. Because people who are impotent, they feel like they're broken. Some of them, I'm sure, and they feel like really unhappy. And I've seen forums where women are saying, "Oh, I couldn't be with this guy; he's impotent. Oh no, I couldn't deal with that guy." So you've got the people that are impotent that can't get love without sex either, and so asexual could possibly be with some of those. But don't forget, there is a different mindset. Like, you can get some sexuals that are really wanting sex, but they're impotent, they just can't have it, and those sexual urges come out as frustrations in the relationship, and it makes it not healthy. So you've got to be careful if you do think about getting into a relationship with someone who's got impotency problems and issues, because you have to look at how beautiful their mind is or not. If it's a toxic mind, or if it's a beautiful mind, if it's someone who's come to terms with the fact they're impotent and just wishes they could have someone in their life to love them without sex, then that would be great. But if it comes from a place of someone who's like very frustrated, very angry at their circumstances, doesn't understand why it's been done to them and why they're so, the world has done this to them and such a terrible thing, and got a negative mindset like that, it's not going to be good to be in a relationship, because you're going to feel the brunt of it. They're going to always be resenting the fact they can't have sex. It's not going to be your fault, but they're kind of going to push their negativity onto you. So you've got to be very careful of how they are. Have they grown and developed themselves as a person to know that it's, that their impotency doesn't define who they are, and that they're okay if they're like that, and and they want someone to love them without sex, and they're willing to really enjoy that life, without sex, and still kiss and cuddle or whatever they want to do. So yeah, but it's very good that Eddie's here now, because Eddie is one of the rare people that can have a loving relationship with an asexual without sex at all. And and more power to Eddie, and Eddie knows how lucky he is. And I think that's the thing, if you are in a relationship with someone, you have to treasure that person, like just like you have to treasure your friends. Like, I appreciate, for example, my best friend Sam in the chat. I appreciate Sam. They're my friend, my best friends, and I just appreciate them being in life and messaging me and checking I'm all right and stuff like that, and just being there for me is really nice. And in a relationship, a romantic relationship, it's just nice to appreciate each other and always show each other kindness and caring. Sam, it's mutual. Thank you. Big smiley. I love that. Because I know there's some people who are watching this chat show right now, and they'll be like, well, you're just talking about romantic relationships again, Sandra. What about aromantics? But Eddie is in a relationship with an aromantic asexual. Did you hear that correctly? Yes. Eddie, who's heterosexual, is in a relationship with an aromantic asexual, someone who lacks romantic attraction and sexual attraction. So you can see that an aromantic asexual can even work with a heterosexual person. See what I mean? Yes. Eddie, my friend told me this week that I am a lucky guy to have her, and I agree. That's really nice. I'm glad you got supportive friends as well. I'm glad you got supportive friends, you know. I know there's a guy who watches this channel sometimes who's asexual, and his fiance is asexual. She's younger than him. They've got a beautiful age gap, love, because you know I like younger guys. He likes younger girls. And they are engaged to be married. And every time that I say, you know, what's the highlight of your week or something like that, 'cause he's in my groups, well, one or two of them anyway, he's like, oh, my girl, my fiance, you know, she's the love of my life. And he always puts her first. He's always so in love with her. This has been going on for a long time now, like well over, I don't know how long they've been together. Is it 1 or 2 years now? I think it is. They've been together a lot. I think it's probably more like a couple of years now. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think they got engaged last year, so I think it's the year before they met. But I'm sure I'll find out when I next have a asexual meetup, because this guy who's comes to my meetup. So yeah, but I'll have to check. He's a friend on Facebook as well. I have to check that, you know. But they've been together for a long time. They're both asexual, but you know, that he realizes what a good woman he's got as well. And I think that's one of the most important things in a relationship, to value the people you got, you know. And if there's people watching now that are aromantic and they're like, oh well, I'm not even interested in a relationship, you know, you've still gotta like have fairness in a friendship. For example, you can end up with a one-sided friendship, and that isn't good or healthy. So you basically got to explain your feelings in a friendship as well, and make sure that you're equally getting things that you enjoy out of the friendship. Thank you for the thumbs up. Oh, Richard, Ace Man Richard Howard. Hello, Sandra. Oh, it's lovely to see you, Richard. Haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're doing good. Lots of love. Yeah, so it's very important, if you're just looking for a friendship, for example, as well, to make sure that that's fair for both people, and that you're both equally getting your needs met in the friendship as well. And you know, you're spending time together and appreciating each other. I think whatever type of relationship we're having, whether that be a friendship or an intimate relationship, romantic relationship, for example, I think appreciation, I would say, is one of the top most important things in any relationship. You should mutually appreciate each other and want that person to be in your life and be happy to. I see so many people in relationships that after X amount of time, they just don't appreciate each other anymore. There's no, you know, there's no appreciation, and both people, or one of the people, feels like they're being taken for granted. Like, it's like, I even felt like that in the past. Like, it's like, well, I'm here, and it's kind of like, oh well, you're there now. I've got you in a relationship. I can do what the hell I want and walk all over you like a doormat. You know, won't be having that again. Ace Man Richard, how I'm good. How are you? I'm good, Richard, although I'm a little bit panicky because I've got a premiere. I got 2 premieres on this channel at 9 p.m. GMT +1 time. That's tonight, Saturday, the 1st of August, and Sunday, the 2nd of August. I've got an interview. I was interviewed by a sex coach about asexuality, but I'm panicking a little bit because I haven't processed the video yet, which is a full-length documentary, which is on later tonight. And my Mac takes hours to process these things. So once I've stopped streaming, it's already come up to 3:30 in the morning. I've got to start processing that and hope by the time I wake up, it's done. So it's pushing it. I'll have it on there, providing it actually is processed. I can't hurry my Mac up any longer because my Mac's very slow. It's an old, beautiful, beautiful Mac. I'm just stroking it now. This is on my Mac, and so, you know, it gets very hot, and sometimes it gets worn out, and it has to have a break, which is no good if it's in the middle of processing something. But yeah, but other than that, I'm really good because I'm looking forward to the 2 premieres. So I'll be premiering it, which, what a premiere it is, in case you didn't know, is basically, it's usually a new program or new feature film or new documentary or new interview or new something, and you watch it together. So I'll be watching it with you and in chat, to still talk to you in chat, but it won't be me talking to camera because it'll be pre-recorded, but I'll still be in chat live with you. So a bit like a watch party in Facebook. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be later tonight at 9 p.m. GMT +1, providing I get the video process, and the other video is already good to go, which was the interview which I had with the sex coach about asexuality. So they're both going to be 9 p.m. GMT +1. I'm doing that so that maximum people can hopefully see it, because I know some people go to sleep early You know, in the documentary, I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes, which is the one going out tonight. So I haven't finished processing it yet, though. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting, something different. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. And the interview is really good with the sex coach as well at Asexual. I do tell some funny story on that. A funny story or story. Yes, which I thought will appeal to her audience because obviously she's a sex coach. So, and I do want to work more with people who are heterosexual and sex coaches and stuff like that because I want asexuality to get recognised as a sexual orientation globally. That is my mission, without a shadow of a doubt. And I was very happy to hear that the sex coach, because what we did is we did the interview before, but Facebook blocked it. Facebook stopped the live stream because of the word asexual. It discriminates against asexual. The word asexual. You'll hear the dating coach. Well, she's not a dating coach. She's a relationship and sex coach. She's also an ADHD therapist as well. So basically, you know, you'll hear her say that Facebook blocked the original one, so we had to do it all over again and record it yesterday. Well, Thursday now, 2 days ago, day before yesterday. And so, you know, we recorded it. It's pre-recorded, but you know, it's just she said that during the time she spoke to me from the previous one that Facebook disallowed, she's actually a client of hers. They found out her child is asexual. So she's bought my book as well. Last night she said, I want to buy your book. So she wants to help her clients so that if she has any clients that are asexual, then she can help them better. And I think this is just a huge step forward for asexuality, because only then can we have better relationships between sexuals and asexuals, where that's just more understanding with the general world population, or whether that's actually being a relationship. Because we must remember we're all having a relationship to each other, whether that's a platonic relationship, a friendship, an acquaintance, two people meeting for the first time. We're actually being in a relationship. It's all to do with relationships, how you are in relation to that person. So I want to work more and more with sexuals in the future, because I want to get asexuality recognised globally as a sexual orientation in its own right. And the only way I'm going to do that is by cutting through the fog and the mist and going straight for the sexual people that can make things move and happen. Because, you know, that is what I want. I want us to work in harmony with sexuals so that they really understand us, so that we can stop growing up thinking we need sex in order to be in a relationship. It's ridiculous. And the sexuals can understand that, you know? And so I'm really glad that she's already recognised that a client of hers has got a child who's asexual. It's very important they take that seriously. Very important. I'm so glad. I'm really glad. Thank you for asking me how I am, Richard, because you wouldn't have known that else. I'm really glad about it, you know, because I don't want children growing up to think that there's something wrong with them. And there's so many people whose parents are not even supportive, and they're like, they would think it was a phase or something like that. And I'm so glad the therapist is not like that, and they're very open and honest. Their show is all about different sexualities and different sexual expressions and things, and about pleasure and having pleasure, whatever that pleasure means to you, you know. And so she covers a lot of different things on her channel, a lot of different things on her Facebook streaming, you know, live stream. So I'm really pleased, you know. She said, I'm going to get your book because it'll help me with clients in case I've got any more people that are asexual or don't understand and want to know more, you know. So people are going to spread the word more, you know. I'm going to have sex therapists who are spreading the word more. This is what we need. We need therapists to understand, you know, and not have the situation I had years ago where I got told I have to have sex in order to keep a good guy by a professional NHS counsellor in the UK. You know, it's disgusting. You know, that person's absolute disgusting that told me that. You should never have someone telling you like that. I mean, this therapist that you'll hear the interview with on Sunday, she's a really nice person. And she said there's no way a therapist is not meant to tell you what to do like that. That's not what they're meant to listen, not meant to tell you what to do like that. And no one should be dictating to you what you should do and do with your life. I mean, you can go to someone for advice, but they certainly shouldn't be saying stuff like that, because that's bad advice, you know. Trying to say you should do something, basically you should have sex if you want to be loved, you know, by a good guy. The guy isn't good. Let's face it. If a guy wants sex and you don't want it, and the only way he'll love you is to have sex, he's not good for you. He might be good for a sexual person, good for someone else, but he's no good for you. You know, it's a very unhealthy type of relationship, you know. So it's very important that that we do make headways in asexuality. We are getting more recognised, you know, but my mission is to literally cut to the heart of the matter and go straight to sexuals with asexuality, because I know there's a lot of activism work going on within the LGBT community, which I'm very grateful for. As a heteromantic person, I don't feel I fit into that, even though I know we're part of the acronym, and my literary mission given to me by the higher universe, if you like, God, whatever you believe, you know, is that I get recognized as a sexual orientation in its own right globally while I'm still here on planet Earth. It's a big ask, really. So this is quite big, but I believe I can contribute largely to doing that, you know, make it happen, you know. And I want to thank you all for, you know, being here on this channel, because without you I could not do this show, you know. Like, if you know, on the 3rd of July I surpassed 125,000 views. I mean, that's just incredible and sensational. It's thanks to you sharing my posts on Facebook, on Twitter, from YouTube directly, and spreading the word about this channel. I know some of you tell your other colleagues and friends or partners about this channel. You know, I know, you know, you recommend it, and I really appreciate it. You know, I couldn't do it without you. I really need your support. You know, we need to make headways. We need to make huge difference in the world while we're still here for the future generations to come. It's very important that we sort all this out now in this lifetime, because we don't want kids growing up thinking sex and love are the same thing, which is basically what's pumped at us from a very early age. It's all about sex and love going together, and it's just completely rubbish. It's like, well, some people who have love for someone want to express it through sexual means, and other people don't. Do you know what I mean? But love is love at the end of the day, and we need more love in the world. We need people to be loved for who they are. You know, my Asexual Perspectives book literally celebrates the diversity across the asexual spectrum, the differences within it. I know Sam's got a copy of it. I know Richard's got a copy of it. Don't forget, anyone else wants a copy, to grab it there. Thank you, Sam and Richard, for both doing reviews on this on Amazon, by the way. And thank you for your contributions, because I know you've both done donations to this channel as well. If anyone else wants to donate, the button down below, PayPal button, donation button, it is in the description as well. Basically, all the money just goes back into the stuff I do for Asexuals, like to keep my websites going and stuff like that. So it's always appreciated, you know. And I really, you know, love all the different asexuals across the spectrum. Like I said, the Asexual Perspectives Month is all about celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. But it shouldn't just be for July. You know, we should be celebrating it all the time. You know, because there's just so many beautiful people, and we're all different, we're all unique and all special. So we need to find the person that matches us more closely in our own unique ways, with enhancing our uniqueness and really appreciating our uniqueness and really loving us for who we are and us them. You know, it's all about love yourself for who you are and love the other person for who they are, you know, without anything forced, anything pressured, but just pure love. That's what life's all about. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really have loved having you here for Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. And I've loved having you, and I continue to love having you on this channel. Don't forget, there's 2 premieres going on this weekend. GMT +1, 9 p.m. UK time. Sam, physical and Kindle copies. Sam has the physical and Kindle copies of Asexual Perspectives. So Sam is basically saying, if you haven't got both copies, go and get both copies. I do have to admit, I love the physical book. There's a lot of people like Kindle books. I love physical books. I absolutely love physical books. I always buy lots of physical books. I have some Kindle books as well, but Sam's like, go and get both. Listen to Sam. They know what they're talking about. But Sam and Richard's both written reviews on Amazon. So definitely worth the read. I prefer physical. Thank you, Sam, so much. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been in chat. Great book, says Sam. Thank you so much. See, Sam says great book. Definitely worth the read. They like the Kindle, but go and get both. I think Sam's right. You should get both. Both. And you can have one on your Kindle to take in the train or wherever you're on the move, and then you can have another one, because obviously it's got asexual on the front of it. You might not wear it and people to see that necessarily, unless you're openly asexual. So you can have the Kindle to take traveling, Kindle copy to take traveling, and then you can have the printed book at home. It's very good. Anyway, don't forget the link for this book is down in the description below, along with my fibromyalgia self-help handbook if you want to get a copy of that. and so is the donation button. Sam, I only download the Kindle app for your book. Oh, thank you, Sam. Sam has an absolute library just of Sandra Bellamy's books. That's my name. If you want to know my real name rather than Asexualized, that's my name, Sandra Bellamy. So look for my books. Once you find one book, you can look through them all. But yeah, Sam specifically downloaded the Kindle app just for the book. So I have to let you know, if you didn't already know, that the Kindle app is free. You don't have to have a Kindle to actually have the Kindle app and read Kindle books. Like, I have the app downloaded to my Mac. I don't have a physical Kindle. I have my Kindle books on the Apple Mac with the Kindle app that opens up to read the books. So you don't actually have to have a physical Kindle. If you don't want one, haven't got one, just download the app for free. You download it to Android. It doesn't have to be to Apple. It can be to Android or Apple or other devices. Sam, I have the app on my PC and laptop. It's great. Listen to Sam. Go and get the book. Printed Kindle version. Great book. And go and download the app to get the Kindle version, you know. I do think people share it in print as well, because it's a very different experience. Like, do you know what I mean? All the chapters are short and snappy as well, done specifically like that. Now, I know a lot of people in the asexual community, they do have autism, and a lot of autistic people take information in very methodical ways. And so the short, snappy chapters really, really help with that as well, because it's very easy to read. I like short, snappy chapters because I just lose concentration easily from reading a big book. So I like the layout of that as well. But it's very important, you know, to be able to have something in easy to read format that's, you know, that's very, and you can read a chapter a day. It's specifically done so you can read a chapter a day, because there's 47 different asexual stories in the book. And you can literally pick out a different story. So you could be reading 40 different stories, one for 47 days. Sam, it is definitely good in print, and the reading style is much easier for me personally. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, because some people are like, oh, you've just done it in question and answers, but I've done it purposely that way. And Sam, like Sam said, it's a lot easier to read. I find it easier to read like that. And also, it's very good for cross-referencing. Like, if you have got a logical mind, and say you wanted to find out like different ages of people that have discovered when they were found out they were asexual, you can literally, when did you first discover asexual, you can literally look at that question through all the 47. You can even make your own diagram if you wanted to. Do you know what I mean? And so you can cross-reference very, very easily if you want to find out different people's perspectives between like sexual arousal and sexual attraction. You could easily do that by comparing all the same questions with different people's answers. And again, you could draw it and write it out if you wanted to do a bit of extra like curricular activity, you know, and then you could compile all the different stories answers too. If could a sexual be with an asexual in a relationship? Would it be fair or not? So it's done like that specifically on purpose. Sam, I find information easier to absorb that way. Absolutely, me too, Sam. I prefer short, snappy chapters. I do not like it when I have a book that goes on and on and on with one chapter for like 40 pages or something, or even 20 pages is a bit much, you know, but it's doable. But if they're like, you know, like if all the pages are mingled into one and it just goes on and on, it's just very difficult. And I like the questions because like I find it very easy. Like personally, if I was just discovering about asexuality, you know, I might like to see, well, you know, if you're feeling a bit down when you first discover, you're feeling a bit broken, you might be like, I want to know what the positives are about being asexual, because I don't feel positive about it at the moment. So you literally take the book and you go to the question about what are the positives about being asexual. And then when you go to what are the positives about being asexual, you would literally be able to quickly whip through all the questions about what are positives about being asexual. So it's very written in a very strategic way to get the most out of the book to help you. You know, I got so many people when they first find out about asexuality, they don't know if they are asexual or not, because they might do some masturbation, they might watch some porn videos, you know. So these type of things are answered in here. They don't know the difference between arousal, sexual attraction, sexual desire. All this is answered in this book. Sam, yeah, I rarely read because I struggle with massive paragraphs to get all the information. Like you said, it is good for comparisons between answers. I'm exactly the same as you, Sam. The way my brain works is exactly, like if I have massive paragraphs, I forget half of what I've read. I'm like, oh, what was that about? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm having to go and reread it over and over again. And then by that time, I got a bit bored or fed up. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And it's very hard to read. And when it's hard to read, you're kind of just struggling through it. You're not really taking the information in. But the reason I wrote it like this is because it's very, very easy to read and easy to cross-reference. Because I like cross-reference and stuff. Like if I was finding out about asexuality and I wanted to know the difference between sexual attraction and sexual desire, for example, I then want to go and find out the different 47 perspectives about it to find out what's the most common perception of it as one that I could feel confidently saying, yeah, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Because if you've got like 47 people who pretty much say the same thing, then you're pretty much certain, then that's going to be pretty much what it is. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you've got like 47 and they're all different, completely different answers to do with sexual attraction and sexual desire, for example, you're going to think that's a bit confusing, maybe. And why is that? You know what I mean? Sam, yeah, that's how I am. Most of what I read are reference books and I make databases, etc. out the information. Nerd/geek. Ha. That's really good, Sam. I mean, a lot of asexuals are nerds, though, aren't they? And geeks. I actually like nerds and geeks, like foreign guys who are nerdy or geeky. I like it. It's like, well, that's intelligent to me. Nerds and geeks are really intelligent. And I think it's great, I like the fact that, that you can, cross-reference information and stuff, like if if you're interested in having kids, for example. I'm not, but if you are, you can literally go to every page and say, all right, so I'm interested in having kids, but I'm not sure how that works as an asexual person. Let me see what other perspectives are of that and work out the pros and cons with it. And I think that's what you want to do sometimes. Sometimes you just want the reassurance of working out the pros and cons of a situation. You want to discover where something would be good for you or not good for you by reading and learning from other people's experiences. And by having all these different stories to cross-reference, you're able to do that with a lot more clarity and vision than you would do if it was just individual stories all clumped together with no direction. I don't like it when someone, I'm very different because I don't like it when someone just puts a story up and it's like there's no direction. There's no reason for it to be there other than that it's a story. To me, that's more like fiction rather than non-fiction. I want to write books that change people's lives, that people are like, I want this information. I'm really struggling with this part of my asexuality. Where do I go to get this information? I want it now. And that's what I've designed the book for, so that people can just literally go to those specific paragraphs and think, yeah, that's what I was after. I feel good now. I've read it. And you can dip in and out of whatever chapters you want. So I've very strategically done it that way. And I know some people who have got special needs, disabilities, or autistic, on the autistic spectrum, I know they do struggle to read and they need things broken down into short, snappy chapters, and they need them as easy to read as possible, But every book, every good book should be easy for a kid to read. That's what makes a good book usually. It's not having all these fancy words. It's having very plain English that people can actually read on multi-levels. So whatever you want the country, if you've got a good grasp of English, you can understand it. That a child could read it. That's how a good book's meant to be written. Not with all this sophisticated, like, technological, language that a lot of people don't understand unless they're actually, like, in that field. It's supposed to be plain, good English, but plain, basic, and you can use colloquial. Like, I use colloquial language in this. So some people will speak their own dialect, they speak their own slang, because it's where they come from, and I don't want to take all their personalities away. The book's got personalities written very conversationally, like blog posts, like you would write in a formal blog post, or messages to a friend, whilst being clear to be understood at the same time. So it's done that way on purpose, and that's why I designed it. I mean, the book has, I've had private messages from people who said, they read my book and after that they know they're not broken anymore. They felt broken before they read this book. They read it and they know they're not broken. They're comfortable and confident with who they are now. They love themselves. They can feel confident and happy that they are who they are and that they're not broken. And there's other people out there like them. You know, that's why I love it. And I've got to say thank you to all the 47 asexuals who are in this book. Well, one of them's me, but 46 asexuals other than me, because without them, this book wouldn't have been possible. You know, they are literally giving their very personal details out as to what they think about love, life, and sex, sharing their experiences with us through their question answers. You know, and that's very precious and priceless. I want to thank everyone that's taken part in Asexual Perspective, because I'm sure there's a number of them that watch this channel, which, you know, I can't divulge who they are. I mean, some of them have got their actual names in the book, but, you know, I want to say a huge thank you to you, because this book has stood the test of time. Like, 3 years later and people are still buying it, and it's still relevant to today. It's still a very relevant asexual book, particularly because it shows you the asexual spectrum. It doesn't just tell you, oh, this is a textbook definition of what this asexual's like. It actually shows you in real life love, life, and sex situations, which I think is the best way of learning about something. You know, you can have a textbook information, which is fine. That's kind of the theory, but how does that work in practice? And that's what I try and do with this show. I try and show you how asexuality actually is in real life context. Like, the stuff I go through as an asexual person, I mean, you know, it's quite difficult sometimes, you know, if you're on the dating scene, if you're on dating sites, you know, how you deal with work colleagues, how you deal with people who don't believe you, or, you know, people who say horrible stuff to you, people that don't understand. You know, that's what I try and do. I try and show you how to deal with all these type of people and how to stay safe and strong. And, you know, my speciality lies in helping you to love yourself for who you are and your asexuality, and to really feel comfortable and confident with yourself and your asexuality, you know, and to give you skills, tools, and resources you need to not just survive but thrive in this highly sexualized world. That's where my expertise lies. That's why I do this channel and write the books for asexuals, you know. So on that note, I think I'm going to go. I love you and leave you. Thank you so much, Sam, for loving the books so much that I write, particularly the asexual ones. I love you to bits. You're my bestest friend in the world. And lots of love to Eddie. Thank you so much for showing up tonight, Eddie, and explaining that you're a heterosexual guy who's in a relationship, a very loving, caring, committed relationship with an asexual, aromantic person for over 2 years now, with no sex whatsoever. I think that's very, very good. Lots of love to you, Eddie. And lots of love to Ace Man Richard Howard, who's absolutely lovely as well. And take care, everyone, and embrace your quirky and each other's. And I will see you in chat on the next 2 premieres. Don't forget, 9 p.m. GMT +1, Saturday and Sunday, 1st and 2nd of August 2020. If you're watching this after it's recorded live, don't forget to put those times in your diary, turn everything else off, and watch and enjoy. Bye, Sam. Bye, Eddie, Richard, and everyone else. And take care of you. Happy reading. Happy watching at the weekend. See you soon. Bye.